What do you say to the person who says, I don't believe the Bible, or I don't believe in the God of the Bible because the Bible condones slavery? I often hear that, maybe even today in our tumultuous culture right now. I always ask this question, what do you mean by slavery? What do you mean by that? Because it's a lot different. The slavery that you and I might be acquainted with in our American history, that slavery that we're certainly not proud of, is totally different from the ancient Near Eastern servitude, which was more like an indentured servant. Let me just give you some differences. In the American slavery, and the ones that the Europeans used as well, slaves were taken by their masters and sold to other masters for their economic benefit. Not the slave's benefit, but the master's benefit. In Old Testament slavery, it was for the economic relief of the servant, the person. See, you would go ahead and sell yourself into slavery, maybe to pay off a debt that you owed, maybe to get ahead in life and pay for what your family needed, or maybe it was to pay off a crime you had committed. It was more voluntary, as I'll point out now. The slaves in American history, slavery, were really people who were captured and put in captivity against their will. In the Old Testament slavery, for the most part, it was voluntary. You said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be an indentured servant to you, a slave to you, for 3 years to pay off this debt or to try to get ahead even. In the American history slavery, people actually considered slaves to be property, not even human beings. In the Bible, they're considered human beings and they're protected by biblical laws. There are all sorts of laws God had in the Old Testament about you can't beat your slave. You've got to treat them fairly. You even hear Paul talk about that in a book called Philemon in the New Testament. When it comes to slaves in American history, they had little recourse if they were even going to try to be free. I mean, they didn't have any resources to allow them, no real paths for freedom, very few, till Abraham Lincoln came around. Biblical slaves were offered several paths to freedom, where they could then finally not be slaves anymore. I think you have to understand, although slavery was certainly, at least people tried to condone it by using certain Bible passages taken out of context and misused, I would say in colonial times, certainly in the European times, it ultimately was Christians talking about the truth of the Bible that brought about the abolition of slavery. People like William Wilberforce, Charles Spurgeon, John Wesley, the whole Quaker movement. So I think if you take a very honest look at the slavery of the Bible, you can't believe that the Bible condones slavery. Most people who've said that probably haven't read the Bible, don't really know what the Bible has said, or may have an axe to grind. So do what you can in Christian love to speak the truth and love to them about what the Bible really says about slavery. Remember, the Bible says all people are created by God. All people are loved by God because Jesus died for the entire world. Finally, when you're looking at people, you need to understand that's a person for whom Jesus died. That person matters to Jesus, so that person ought to matter to you.